Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Have you ever wondered why some monsters are more popular than others? I mean, there's a lot of monsters out there. Us humans have been creating them for thousands of years, but we tend to see the same ones at different iterations over and over. In this video, I'll be exploring why, and ranking the most popular monsters in this tier list. I'll be taking into account the history, concept, and overall coolness level of each monster. Also how prevalent they've been in our culture and media. This means the list could change over time. And remember, these are just my opinions, but I want this to be a discussion, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. Starting off strong here with vampires. The concept of vampires has existed for thousands of years, but the version most of us have in our heads today comes from 18th century Eastern European folklore. An undead human creature feasting off the life essence of the living to sustain itself? That obviously makes for a compelling monster, and it's been explored in many stories. The modern romantic style vampire originated with John Polidori's 1819 short story, The Vampire. That story was supposedly taken from another story told by Lord Byron as part of a contest that produced another famous monster on this list. Of course, Bram Stoker then created the most famous vampire of them all, Count Dracula. I can make a whole video on Dracula alone. The history and work that went into creating that character is really awesome, and it's resonated with millions of people since its inception, as we're still getting explorations of the character today. And I've never been more excited for Christmas. This is an easy S-tier monster. The suave, intelligent, shape-shifting vampire, specifically Bram Stoker's Dracula, is damn near perfect in my eyes. Even the pre-Dracula vampires would probably make it into S tier, but Bram Stoker just perfected it. I feel like it's also inspired a ton of different characters throughout the years. I see a lot of Dracula in Hannibal Lecter, one of my other favorite characters. Not 100% sure if Thomas Harris ever mentioned any inspiration, but the characters no doubt share similarities. Vampires are S tier for sure. This may be controversial. I consider Cthulhu to be a quote-unquote monster, but some may consider him a god or something else. But we go from a very human, understandable monster in the vampire to the exact opposite. H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu was made never to be understood, and the name wasn't even supposed to be pronounced by us. The combination of octopus, dragon, and human, hundreds of meters tall, sleeping deep within the ocean in an ancient city, being worshipped by strange cultists, I mean, come on. That's some sketchy stuff, in all the right ways. It's intriguing, the idea of this creature who melts your mind if you look at it, who's so large it doesn't even make sense, and something that lives below us at all times, sleeping as we go about our little lives. H.P. Lovecraft clearly nailed it with this monster, and it's inspired an entire mythos, the Cthulhu mythos, which to this day has inspired a number of movies and games. It makes cameos in some unexpected places. I'm gonna put Cthulhu in the A tier here. The cosmic horror of this monster is kinda hard to explore fully, as the whole idea of it is to be unknowable. I think it's planted itself comfortably in our culture with horror fans, and it's just a solid monster all around. I'm hoping we get to see more Lovecraft adaptations on the big screen. I know Guillermo del Toro had a project for At the Mountains of Madness, which never materialized. Which is just insanely unfortunate, because I think he could do something really amazing with that story. That story doesn't feature Cthulhu directly, but all the monsters in the Cthulhu mythos are cool in my book. So Cthulhu in A tier. And this guy, Andre Wallen, I think just has the best art for Cthulhu, so go check him out. Guys, I'm sorry. Some of you may be Bigfoot people, I know they're out there. Some may not even really consider this a monster, again, but in the definition I'm using, he fits. I think the story and idea of Bigfoot has some merit, and clearly works on some level. A large ape creature, perhaps, a distant relative cut off from the line that survived, lives in seclusion. I mean, it is admittedly cool, and with the added discovery of Gigantopithecus, I think it's even cooler. I'm kind of not doing specifically Bigfoot here, but the large ape/man creature living in the wilderness. It exists in a lot of different cultures, for example, the Yeti of the Himalayas. It's an okay monster that really hasn't been explored or used in any culturally significant pieces of art, or at least anything I'm aware of, so maybe in the future my opinion will change. But for now I have the large ape-man/Bigfoot in D tier. Has some merit and no doubt intriguing, but I don't think it works well compared to some others on this list. But hey, I wouldn't be opposed to a psychological thriller Bigfoot miniseries. Looking at you, HBO. Here we come to the other monster that came as a result of the previously mentioned contest. Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, and John Polidori held a contest to see who could write the best horror story. Mary Shelley created Frankenstein's monster in 1818 with her novel Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. The name of Frankenstein is actually the name of the scientist who creates the monster. In the novel he doesn't actually have a name, so he's known as Frankenstein's monster. The novel was supposedly inspired during Shelley's travels through Europe years prior, where she witnessed a castle where an alchemist was said to have done strange experiments. I also want to mention that Mary Shelley started writing this when she was 18, and it was published when she was 20. I mean, that's just astonishing. To create such a cool character that had a lasting effect in our culture at such a young age is incredible. Frankenstein's monster is a really cool concept, an amalgamation of body parts coming together, being made sentient. Brings up questions on what it means to be human, consciousness, and the power of creating life. I think the story overall is probably an S tier, but the actual monster I'm gonna put in B. While he himself is cool, I'm more drawn to the bigger picture and the part the monster plays in it rather than the monster itself. And here comes this guy again. Guillermo del Toro is apparently making a movie adaptation of the novel, which I'm pretty stoked about. We really have a lot to be excited about in the coming months and years. Monsters and movies go hand in hand, and there are so many cool movies in the works. Anyway, Frankenstein's monster, B tier. Another monster from medieval European folklore. These guys were really onto something. The werewolf is an insanely famous monster, and it's been featured in literally countless pieces of art over the years. Such a cool creature, another juxtaposition between man and beast, an intelligent, civilized person becoming a raging wild animal in the light of the full moon. It makes sense why this monster's persisted. I mean, it's pretty terrifying and can be used in different stories as a plot device, such as in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is a pretty easy S tier in my opinion. The prevalence of werewolves and everything, and the perfect mix of the sort of mundane human with a scary wolf is perfect. And it did really cause a stir back in the day. The most famous monster of the seas. The Kraken first appeared in the 18th century, said to be a massive octopus capable of pulling down ships to the depths. I mean, the Kraken is the quintessential sea monster, the pinnacle of sailors' superstitions and myths, and it's theorized to have come about from sightings of giant squid. My favorite version of the Kraken is in Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest, a really actually underrated gem of a movie. They really did the monster justice here, as the beast swallows an entire ship and just destroys everything. Overall, I like the Kraken. It's a really cool looking creature with decent lore, but I'm gonna put it in C tier, as it is quite basic and doesn't have any distinguishing qualities really besides being large. And it makes for a really mid rum, so it has that going for it. Okay, so the Boogeyman is kind of this vague monster who came about from parents scaring their children into good behavior. There's not really an exact description of it. It's no doubt just an ugly, scary man-type creature that terrifies children. It's kind of a catch-all monster from so many cultures around the world. I mean, just look at the wiki page for it. I need to see Malta's caw-caw in a creature feature. The brainchild of tired parents who, out of necessity, created a mythical beast to terrify their children into good behavior. Kind of a funny concept, and no doubt useful for many generations. While it has stood the test of time, I'm gonna have to put it into the D tier. It really has no cool or interesting lore that I'm aware of, not really any intriguing physical characteristics, and overall is quite boring. Although this vagueness has created opportunities for artists to explore the character and make masterpieces such as this. The classic witch, practitioners of witchcraft. Another result of ancient Europeans. I mean, these guys were just killing it. Witches appeared very long ago, and the exact definition of witchcraft can kind of be a gray area. The witches I'll be discussing will be the quintessential, kind of secretive, secluded women practicing magic and, doing all around questionable things. Another familiar face. Mr. Eggers' breakout film has one of the best depictions of witches that I've seen. Witches have been in movies, literature, and art forever, and as a concept they're really awesome. While distinguishing them as monsters could be kind of pigeonholing them, I do think that they fit the bill here. The version of witch I'm thinking of, like in Robert Eggers' film, just works so well. A creepy old, or young, woman in the wilderness with powers beyond comprehension. Obviously the concept has been used in the past to justify prosecution of women, most famously in Salem. If something weird happened, it was probably witches. Not a good look, but the characters created from witches in movies and books are a testament to how good of a concept it is. I think there's more to come from this monster. We're in a bit of a vampire arc here, and I'm not complaining, but I have a feeling we're going to start seeing some witches at some point again. Witches make it into the A tier. So, here's my final list. I'm happy with it overall. I do want to include some other monster types like zombies maybe at some point, but for now this is good. I want to hear your guys' opinions on any changes you'd make or why you think some monsters should be higher or lower. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.